Welcome back, guys. I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company, and today we're going to build a raised garden bed. This is for our neighbors, which actually brings me to our success tip of the day. Be neighborly. We got some great neighbors. You know, they're always with a wave and a smile. My wife lost her keys at the park one time, and the neighbor drove her over there and waited till she found them. You know, they give us vegetables in the fall. We're very fortunate to have good neighbors. So the success tip this week is be neighborly. It'll come back tenfold. So let's design it. Here we go. It's basically just going to be a box with some 4x4 legs. We're going to spruce it up by putting some trim pieces in the corners and a 45 lip edge on the top. Dirt goes down in it, flowers, herbs, garden comes up. So, I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company. Let's build something. Ta-da! I went ahead and 3D modeled this for you guys. Everyone seemed to like when I did it on the farmhouse chair, so this is just a quick 3D model of the design, and so you can pause it and kind of look at the trim and the way that the whole thing works. Materials we're going to be using for this are going to be cedar. The total cost is around $130, including the dirt. And the reason that we want to use the cedar is because it's naturally rot resistant and it's naturally bug resistant. If we were to use treated lumber, it would be half the price, but it would slowly leach chemicals into your food, and we don't want that. So we're going to start by cutting the legs at 32 inches. And we'll get those notched out. I'm going to use fence slats for this. They're 5.5 by 1/2 inch thick cedar, and we're going to cut them the fronts at 36 and the sides at 23, adding that 1/2 inch, it finishes at 24. Once we get everything kind of rough cut in, we'll start to build the thing. So I'm not going to overcomplicate this by building it with clamps and all that jazz. It's a kind of a rough thing, so we're just going to kind of frame it out on the workbench. I'm going to use glue and pin nails to hold it together, and then I'm going to come back with screws. Now the basin on this is going to be about 11 inches deep, 11.5 with the bottom rails, which is plenty to grow strawberries and all your herbs and tomatoes even. So that's deep enough for whatever you need to grow. Now I'm going to cut a bottom ledger board for the inside of this. You can see that on that 3D drawing. That's what's going to hold the bottom shelf, basically, the shelf brackets. And it's also going to give me a place to staple the 1/4 inch mesh and the burlap to hold the dirt in. So I'm going to glue and pin nail that, then I'll come back with screws and just zip some screws in it to hold it. I'll work my way around with this. This gives me extra meat to attach the bottom pieces to. And I'll make sure to use 1-inch screws so it doesn't blow out the other side. I definitely want to use all outside screws and nails, galvanized screws and nails, so that they don't rust. I cut the bottom rails and I use one as a blank for a spacer, and I'll glue and pin nail it in and then pull that spacer out and just slide it over. This will give me equal distance. These are 2 5/8 wide boards, and it's just a quicker way to do it. Now I'm going to come back and add screws here. Make sure that you pre-drill these out. If you goose them too hard, they'll just blow out the end grain of these brackets. And this is what holds all the weight for all the dirt. Everyone gets a little blood on themselves every now and again when you're woodworking. So now I'm going to attach the fronts with screws, and I'm going to hold those back enough that the trim will actually cover it, so you won't even see any of the fasteners at all. The pin nails will get absorbed into the wood. Now I'm going to cut the trim that's going to trim out the box. I'm just going to cut it at 2 1/2 inches, and I'm going to rough cut a bunch of the scraps from the rest of the pieces. Now I put the side piece of trim on before the front one because I want that front piece of trim to cover the side so it looks more finished out. Someone asked me how long it took me to build something like this, and you know, from the time I pulled up to the house with the wood, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes of build time. Now my wife did come out and help me make some cool signs that we're gonna see here in a second, but yeah, about 2 1/2 hours of time to build it. And I'll pop on the top trim and let it overhang 1 inch just for like an extra detail with the shadow. I'll make sure that that's held down really well. I don't want that to pop up ever. Now with the exposed 4x4s on the top, I just want to kind of detail them in like so it looks like a little wash basin, an old wash basin. So I'm just going to 45 some scrap pieces and just line them up in there and glue them and nail them on to kind of finish it out. It looked great. You can get as detailed as you want with this. I'm going to cut the 1/4 inch mesh and jam it down in there and staple it in there. Now, we thought we'd go ahead and make some, wood burn some herb signs, basil, cilantro, things like that. If you were to draw these or paint these, they would wear out and wear off really quickly with the heat we have here. So by wood burning them, they'll last years, probably 20 years with it burned in there. And it was an added touch and an extra detail we did for our neighbors because they're so awesome. So my wife helped me and she had a fun time doing it. Okay, there we go. The raised garden bed for herbs. It's done, full of dirt. Very fun project to do on a beautiful day. My wife helped me make these cool little signs, mint, cilantro, oregano, basil, that you can mark it with. So that's what we did today. Remember, be neighborly. I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company. If you like videos like this, like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching, guys. Ta-da!